Cheche. Today's guest is Bomet County Governor Isaac Ruto. The conversation carried on during the break, and we pressed him further on the names of the people he is working with. But as you'll know, if you've been following the show, he is one of a number of politicians who recently announced and created their own parties. The tweets are, the messages coming in from our viewers aren't very positive towards you. So how do you convince Kenyans that what you're doing is not creating a vehicle for your own personal and political survival?
We will explain as we move on. We are yet to roll out the manifesto, and they will understand. We'll tell them the philosophy behind it, and we will also show them by practice once we do the elections and therefore get the appropriate officials. What my friends are pushing me to do is to impose leadership on Kenyans. We believe that will come from below. Through registration of members and election in the various places. And we also have to clearly understand that there are certain people who believe they need to make those announcements themselves. And for me to come and announce their names here is not proper. And that is what we've agreed on with the people who have joined the party, that they will themselves do the announcements in their own appropriate time. I want to mention simply that we are simply saying we are just arriving on the scene.
Okay.
Now watch this space.
Okay.
Asking me
you have already
further.
said you have membership in 24 counties.
Yes.
And then you are talking about the registration of members.
Yes.
Is this correct?
The law talks about having 2,000 members. So, and there should be at least 1,000 members in each
branches
county.
in
So what we are talking about is, and I think you need to be familiar with the Political Parties Act. You will not be registered unless you have got offices, and offices could be operated on by officers, clerks.
If I go to register a political party's file, I will not find a political party called Mashinani Party. You told the one that is registered is a different party. There is none like that.
Check in the Gazette notice of December 24th.
Okay. Well, let's look at the levels of government and the issues that the governors or the county governments have been having with the national government. You recently had a summit with the national executive. Have issues been resolved, or what are the pending issues between the county governments and the national government?
What is pending? The pending issues between us and the national government is about sharing of revenue, about administration of loans and grants, and then administration of donor funding. Yes, they want to receive the donor funding and come and spend it themselves in the counties, or give the ministries to come and spend in the counties, which in our view is in contradiction with the constitutional dispensation.
Right. There are also issues about roads. Roads.
Yes, we also have issues about roads. Not just roads. It's about actual implementation of transfer of functions. Remember, the end of transition is coming. Is March. It's March, yes. March 4th. Yes.
Do you think the transition authority needs to be at the time they need to go home? There are efforts right now to extend or retain. Is there work for them?
There is work, but the team there have not performed appropriately, because there was nothing that required to go beyond 3 years. But I think some of them deliberately delayed the transfer of functions so that they can use it to extend their tenure. So in my own view, they need to hand over, and we find a way of having those functions transferred.
So then, if we come back to tie this to your party, then how would your party then address some of these issues?
Yes, we want full transfer of functions by March. And if Jubilee is unable to transfer those functions, they have failed in their when they swore to protect the Constitution.
But then, if you then succeed in that, what is the point of your party? If you succeed in that, you say that your party wants full transfer of functions, right?
Yes.
Once you succeed in that, what then is the point?
What then is the point
of your party existing?
There is much more. For instance, have we achieved equitable distribution of resources? Political parties exist on ideological basis. They don't exist because of an event. You don't create it because of an event for the transfer of function. You create for the long haul.
Yeah.
It is what we believe in.
Yeah. Let's go back a little on that matter of the summit discussion and the pending issues. And you mentioned the matter of loans.
Yes.
And the requirement in the Constitution and in the County Government Act that counties may not borrow externally. And we have seen a lot of governors, county officials going out there to look for projects which would ordinarily be funded by outsiders, by multilateral or bilateral donors.
The county government.
How has any, first of all, in your knowledge, having been former chairman of the COG, any county government borrowed money from outside directly, got a loan, and what are the challenges about getting the sovereign guarantees that are required to get these loans? The
sovereign guarantees have been denied by the national government, and the county government does not deny counties from borrowing from abroad. It doesn't even talk about borrowing. It is the Public Finance Management Act. It's the PFM.
Yes, PFM.
It's the PFM Act that manages loans and says counties can borrow from anywhere, including from abroad.
Yes.
But the normal thing is that we should have a sovereign guarantee.
Yes.
The national government has not been forthcoming on that. And no county has actually borrowed as of today.
What is the explanation? You're not able, you're not organized enough, you don't have sufficient credibility to get the money?
And those are some of the issues we are now raising. And you are telling me that we have got no agenda.
Okay. Some of our viewers...
Those are the issues we are raising. And you see, the real challenge at the moment is proper and clear understanding of what is expected in the devolution arena.
But isn't there sufficient justification for the government being hesitant to give a green light, seeing how so far devolved governments have behaved and managed the resources, to allow them to even begin committing the country to foreign debt?
For example,
county government, are we ready?
For instance, on water, I need about 2 billion shillings to fully sort out water supplies in Bomet to a reasonable level. I cannot access 2 billion shillings from the budget. It would make sense to get a loan to do all those things and get people to start having water, and we repay it over a 10-year period of time. We can set aside, say, 200 million every year to repay that loan, while people are enjoying good health because of the good drinking water. But you can't tell me we cannot borrow because of some reasoning up here, yet they are busy borrowing all over the place. They are even unable
you
to
would be repaying, Governor, from monies allocated from the revenues of the nation, of the state, of the country, rather than revenue generated from the county, other sources.
Let me ask you,
do you have enough revenue to actually service a loan?
Let me tell you,
taking Bomet, for example.
We are not allowed to do double taxation. We don't do double taxation. If buildings, rates are just, if there are 100 housing that can be charged on rates, it's just that. You are not going to start doubling the rates so that you can get a huge figure to use to borrow. We borrow using resources allocated to the county through shareable revenue. And remember, all the taxes are actually the business of the Kenya Revenue Authority. Most of the taxes and those taxes are also accruing from the counties. You are not going to tell counties to start multiplying taxation laws so that we can get more revenue in some other strange place. No, allow him to finish. Let's finish with that. So the point I'm putting across to you is that if in my budget it's possible for me to set aside 100 million
to service a debt,
what is the problem?
The point of the matter is that
you want
many counties are collecting less revenue.
Just a minute. Mutegi, ask a question.
If you compare local authorities, what the local authorities were collecting in counties and what the counties are collecting, they are collecting less than before. Yes.
You know, this is why I say he has got no information at all. And you have kept telling me that he looks for information.
Those are the figures.
Counties are collecting much more. For example, in Bomet, my county council used to collect 60 million. I'm collecting 300.
Okay. No.
So how can you tell me?
No, there's confusion because you're talking about revenue collection, the monies that you've raised yourselves. Whereas earlier, both panelists were referring to the monies that are allocated from the central government and the problems with absorption. That's what the reference was.
It's not about absorption. The question he was asking was, he simply says, and he made a categorical statement that counties are now collecting less money
than the local authorities were collecting.
Than the former local authorities.
Those are the figures.
And I'm telling him that he has got no information completely, and he has got no reason to address Kenyans on national television on information he does not have.
I stand corrected.
You must apologize.
I stand corrected.
You need to apologize.
What I think, and I think because you might be wrong on that. What I think has happened is that there are certain targets that counties have set, which they are not achieving.
Correct.
But not that
it's
the
a question
collection,
of targets.
Yes, not being achieved, and therefore there are deficits in the county budgets arising from those.
We always target. But then we have got certain challenges. Even national government have such challenges. But it is not to say that we are collecting less. We used to collect 60. We moved to 100 and something. We moved to 200. Our target this time was about 350 million. Sometimes we cannot collect that. For example, there was a huge drop in revenue when CES was outlawed by the courts. And for example, look at what happened in Kiambu. The court stopped the implementation of the Finance Act for quite some times because somebody simply went to court. And definitely Kiambu could not meet that target that they had set themselves to do. So you see, there are so many other factors which sometimes jolt our targets. So if you judge us on the targets, sometimes we fall short of the targets. For example, El Nino arrives and so many things happen and things go haywire. Sometimes the price of tea plummets because of certain international things, then the targets quickly go down. So we are saying that targets will keep fluctuating. The best case scenario is when we are able to meet those targets, unless you are insisting that we put the targets lower so that we tell you we are collecting 100%. That does not make sense. But the point here is performance on revenue collection. We have even automated the collection of revenue. Previously, people used to put kamba across the road so that you give us the money or we hit you with a rungu. You will not find that in
Bomet has moved on.
Very quickly before we wind up, some support, although on the whole I have to say that the balance of the messages coming in are fairly critical. But sorry, I lost them.
What challenge do you have about the procurement, e-procurement?
E-procurement. In my county, we embraced e-procurement and we are proceeding on it. But there are counties that where connection, where where the networks are not working well. And then we still have even challenges on IFMIS. Although we use it, sometimes we say we are paying this week. We key everything into the system. After 3 weeks, everything returns. It was not paid through IFMIS. So suppliers keep complaining that this system is not doing well, because you promise somebody that you are paying. You actually go ahead and key in and expect him to receive the money the next day. He does not receive the money because this money is in central bank and it's only paid through IFMIS. Sometimes you do e-procurement, but the other problem we're having with e-procurement is that our suppliers are not quite apt to the e-procurement system. They are not entirely conversant with the system. And then look at the fact that the people around that county would rather want to participate in that business. But the moment we go into too much on e-procurement, it's only Nairobi that will now come again to go and take the business out of Kajiado. They will take the business out of Wajir, and then they will win in terms of prices. But their delivery period will push to 60 days because they don't even know how to get to Wajir, for example. So we are simply saying we need to address those issues. What do we do with the people in the counties themselves who would like to participate in those businesses? What do we do with the youth who need to access that business?
So but IFMIS is still the better
IFMIS is very good. IFMIS is very good because it helps everybody to understand how we are spending. It is very good.
One quick question from our viewers before I come to the panelists for their final thoughts. Honorable Ruto is the governor, but one funny thing is that he's trying to blind the minds of the people of Bomet. Remember that in 2002, he slaughtered a chicken in the name that Kanu was to be buried, and he moved all over the constituency announcing quit the party. 2010, he did the same for ODM, and now he's turning back to the same parties having carried these taboos that have never been cleaned. Let Ruto clarify that for the people of Bomet.
Yeah, he's talking about slaughtering of chicken. That has been a propaganda going around. He cannot trace where the chicken was slaughtered. I simply moved and supported NAC. And we've always, it's true. Almost even my colleagues who are in Jubilee are now moving to another party. They moved into JAP and they say they are moving into another one in March. Am I the only one metamorphosizing? Who has been in one party ever since? I think it should be only Gideon Moy and Nick Salah.
Okay,
the rest of us have been in different parties continuously. Who else hasn't been?
So some support here. Mr. Ruto, I support you so much. Keep your fire burning. I like your stand. You believe in yourself. There are a few others. To be honest, you're out to crucify Ruto, but you forget that Jubilee, though in government, has not a single office bearer in the grassroots, as it has and will never hold elections, which is illegal to say the least. He, like every Kenyan, has a right to hold a differing view. But then, and several people are saying this, Isaac Ruto is just a pawn in the game of high politics. CORD will use him to disorganize the Deputy President Ruto and Jubilee and then dump him. And there are others who think that Mashinani is, you know, a Raila ploy. Can you speak to that before we close the show?
Where is Raila coming into this? Raila has his ideas. Some of them I do agree with him. Some maybe I don't. But the point I'm putting across here is that I have been steadfast in the ideas I keep enunciating, and I think I would suggest you go back into your library and have a look at what I've been saying and whether they have changed. I have been very consistent on these issues for quite a bit of time, especially if you can follow from 2002.
So why don't you join Raila and CORD, or what is your point of difference then? Seems like there is none.
We will want to know what CORD is up to.
Okay.
I have not discussed that with them. Okay. I have simply been in Jubilee and I know what is wrong in Jubilee. And I know why I have disagreed with Jubilee. And that is what I'm explaining right now. Okay. And I would like somebody to tell me whether I'm therefore supposed to be a psychopath.
Panelists, listen to this. Governor Isaac Ruto seems to be a bold leader, focused, and has a heart for his people. His push for Pesa Mashinani is what the people want, and we feel we are served as Kenya. Makali seems to support the national government in his ideas. Let Isaac continue with his party, and Kenyans will support him. Steve in Samburu County. Yes. And there's another one who says Isaac Ruto has refused to be a useful idiot, in quotes. Politically. This is a political concept aired at some point by the BBC. Panelists should not harass him for this. So there's been a fair amount of skepticism, both from you, but also from our viewers. We're not quite sure about Mashinani Party, whether it's a one-man party. He says that there are people who are affiliated with it. He's refused to name them. Some of our viewers have provided the names. But given there's a trend taking place, politicians, whether they're rebellious or not, announcing their own ambitions, announcing their own parties. Is this a good thing for the country or not? Do we need more parties, or do we need to focus on building existing parties?
You're asking me?
Panelists.
I think, first of all, we're looking at these issues in the context of Mashinani Party. The national government, the county governments, all of them have issues, serious problems in terms of governance, management of resources, and their commitment to deliver
internal
services.
Democracy.
All political parties have the same challenges, and I think that would definitely lead to differences of opinion, and the divergence of opinion could lead to political parties being formed. What we need to figure out is whether those parties are sustainable, or again they just become parties which are lasting 1 or 2 years, then they'll be approached and told, we want to consume you, and then we'll end up again back to the same cycle. I think that political parties need to be encouraged to have as many as possible. I'm not a centrist. I don't believe in 2 parties only or 1 party. That far from it at all. And I think that all these parties need to have freedom of speech within them, of ideas to propagate the idea. People should propagate the ideas. And if they are not being propagated, people can move out. What we are here looking at is the destiny and the fate of a party called Mashinani, and the mover or person propagating it, the Governor Isaac Ruto. And I'm saying that, you know, there are many issues around whether it will be viable as an idea or not, and how it will go forward. I think he has a lot of work to do to make it to sprout and grow, especially in a region which is really hostile, not hostile, but friendlier to another party than him, and he seems to be outside that family that you know, of Jubilee. Whether he'll survive, I don't know, because there's history in that area. He has a neighbor who is running for Senator of Kericho in this coming elections. It's called Magerel Langat. There is a neighbor called Franklin Bett. I'm sure he'll have tea with them for a few ideas on how to survive in the cold.
You know, to run a political party, to form a political party and to lead it in this country, you have to have a lot of money. When Matiba was running for the city, he went broke because of that. When, except a national party like Kanu, where people used to pay money, or politicians in those areas used to. People don't pay to be members of political parties. In fact, people used to be, if you're a politician, you buy party cards, you want to distribute to people you want to be, that they want kind of way of doing things. I don't know anybody who can say, I am TNA, for instance. I've never seen a grassroots elections, like somebody says. I've never seen them holding elections in the villages. But the politicians who are there, they're the ones holding them. But to run a political party, you need money. How much money does the member, the governor of Bomet have? I understand he has bought a helicopter, whether it's true or not. I don't know. But he says he has a bicycle. But you need money, and you need an organization. And he says he has 22 registered in 22 counties. And he says on 24th of December he registered that party. But the name he gave is not the same as that. It's different. So I think it's a big task to sustain that party.
So your final thoughts, sir, and from the panelists, you know, you have a big task. There are doubts about the viability of your party and the viability of your pockets in running this party.
Right. I think my friends here are prisoners of the past. They expect a Matiba type of party. They expect a Nyachai type of party. We are talking about the People's Party. When they have it in Kajiado, it is them to run the party. We are saying they have it in Samburu, it is them to run their party. They do elections. They don't need money to do elections. They don't need money to express their opinion. They don't need money to say that they don't have school fees. They don't even need money to say they need water. All we need is their ideas. They organize themselves, and that is why I'm saying
party mobilization.
Yes, they will mobilize themselves. Down there, it does not require money. It is the old power of patronage that we are now disagreeing with, which required millions of money, because you are buying sycophants. We are not talking about a sycophant-led type of party, where you have got to be a sycophant to be in that party. Get into the party, vie for elections in that area, and then organize them in a transparent manner and move on.
Organize means organize with money.
Not with money. What do you need money for?
You don't travel going by Bonabonda. Huh? You need vehicles. You need petrol.
For who?
Mobilizing people.
Let me tell you, if there is an interim committee, for example, in Mandera, and then they just announce for people to register as members, and they announce that there will be elections in the various places, do you need money to meet in the locations and do your elections?
Oh, yes.
We've done that before. You see, you have got a view which is completely different. It's part of what we are now metamorphosizing out of, and that is what we are trying to now remove. And that is why I'm refusing to tell you or to accept your view that a party will only make sense if you have hooked it onto an Amimo because of the big name she has. It is not about big names. We in the villages, we have got no big names. We are just ourselves.
So you're making your final thoughts, but speak to what some of our viewers see, that this Mashinani Party will be the beginning of the end of your political career.
Everybody's entitled to his view. I will not argue with anyone who says that. It may not be that, but I've run my politics basically almost all based on what I believe is right. Remember, I was told the same when I took on ODM over the Mao question. I was the only one coming here, and I was being told that that is the end of you. You are taking on ODM, which was extremely popular in Rift Valley, over the question of Mao. Weren't I here in this same station? And I was told the same things. I was told you cannot survive. William Ruto is on the other side in ODM. He was the minister in ODM. Finally, he joined us. So what are you telling me? As long as the idea is right and it resonates well with the voter, I have no fear for the top. I don't fear the top. I'm not made of that material. It is the question right now is the people have no school fees. Yes. There is hunger. There is no clean water. Our roads are bad.
People are sick.
People are sick. No drugs. There are very little money we can use to invest in medical care. And you in Nairobi are refusing to develop adequate resources to meet those needs. If I come and say the same, how does it differ with what I'm being told by the voter, by the person who votes for me? I don't mind if I'm criticized by those who are in Lavington, by those who are in the other estates here in Nairobi, for those of you who are living in Ngong and Karen. I don't mind. You are living in a different world. I live in a different world where accessing medical care is a challenge.
You were once Minister for Rural Development.
Yes. I was a Minister for Vocational Training. I was Minister for Environment.
Yes.
I was Assistant Minister for Agriculture and Education. Yeah. And I have learned that there is no answer. Even if you put me to be a minister today, right now, under this dispensation, I will not be able to deliver.
Okay. So our time is up.
Right.
And so we will thank you very much for your time on Cheche this morning and for your candor. Today's guest was the governor of Bomet County, Isaac Ruto. He's also the founder of the Mashinani Party. Our thanks, founder, promoter?
I'm a promoter.
Party leader. Our thanks also to our panelists, Mutegi Njao and David Makali. And thank you for watching and engaging with us here on Cheche. Have a good day.